What's up, everybody? Heliax here, and on this week's episode, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. And by that I mean we're not going to be building anything at all. Remember last episode how we built everything that goes around the slime farm? Well, I'm still pretty much exhausted from this. See, what I thought was going to be the hardest part was building the rest of this wall and filling it in with glass, but what turned out to be the most time-consuming was this roof. I was unable to record it, but let me explain what happened. So I built this side, and I thought, okay, great, looks good. So I built that side, and it didn't quite match, so I rebuilt it. And then I built that side, and then I realized there was a better way to build it, which is this design that I landed on. So I tore them all down and built them again. And that just killed me, guys. It took so long. So instead of building, we're gonna clear out end cities. So for those of you that don't know, clearing out end cities is basically going on a hunt for one of three things: elytras, shulker shells, or diamond gear. But one does not simply just clear out end cities. You've got to be prepared. So first thing for today, I'm going to fill up my ender chest with all the supplies we're going to need, along with some other things that are just nice to have. So that's going to be food, rockets, ender pearls. Oh, wait. Ender pearls. And then a bunch of chests to put all the loot in. Well, that's not very satisfying. Let me get two more. There we go. Then we also need maps and banners. I'll explain why in a minute. Dang, we don't have enough blue dye to make our blue banners. Alright, 1 second. Alright, let's make a bunch of wool. Now we'll get a bunch of blue dye. And now we've got all the banners we need. You think that's enough gear? Yeah, I think that's enough gear. We may have overpacked. But let's get to the end. So why do we need a bunch of maps and banners? Because this right here is my dream. I want to have a 6 wide, 6 tall, fully zoomed out, giant map of the end. And for every end city that we clear, we stick a blue banner on top. I think it's going to look pretty cool. And it's going to take so long. But, you know, sometimes you just need to do something mindless in Minecraft for a little bit. So we've got our ender chest full of supplies, but the other thing you want to keep in mind when you're clearing end cities is you want to travel kind of light as far as what's on your character, because you're going to end up dying. And if you don't die, you're going to be grabbing a lot of loot. So you don't want to have to keep stopping to put it away in shulker boxes, so try and free up as much inventory space as possible. Oh, and always use the bow in the offhand, sword in the main hand. Shoot shulkers from far away, but get the benefit of looting. I think we're ready to go. You guys ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm an idiot. I need to grab this map back here so I can see where we're going. Okay, now let's go. A pro tip when you're flying in the middle of nothing, if you hit F3 and G, ooh, yeah, I was on the bottom there. You can kind of see where you're headed then. Alright, you can see we're outside of this map we have now. So we should be able to use a new map. And then make it bigger. I'm really not good at this. Well, that gets expensive. Okay. Great. So now this is what we're going to be exploring. I really should have brought a cartography table, because that was 32 pieces of paper to zoom this map out. Oh well. So now comes the really exciting part. Hold on to your seats. We're gonna fly around in circles until we uncover this whole map. I know. It's thrilling. While you watch me own some shulkers in the background, I wanted to talk about something that helped me in the last episode that might help you too. If you're like me, when you think of starting a big project in Minecraft, you get overwhelmed. You don't have a fully fleshed out idea, or the idea you do have isn't fantastic. I felt the same way with the slime farm. When I started building it, I had a few vague concepts in mind, but none of them were great or even complete. Oftentimes in the past, that has kept me from starting projects, but since I was making a video, I knew I had to build something. So I built what I could come up with at the time, then looked at it and tried to think of ways to improve it, add more depth, detail, or color. In short, I iterated on the design. I made changes, then reevaluated, then made more changes, until we got to the finished product. I could have kept going too, but I had to wrap up the video. It would be fantastic if I knew what I wanted it to look like and built it all at once, but if you aren't an experienced builder, that just isn't realistic. So I would strongly suggest this approach. Also, if you make a copy of your world, you can test designs out in creative mode so you aren't losing so much time. Anyway, that's something that's helped me, so I figured it might help someone else. Now let's get back to clearing the end. You know, eventually I'd like to get to the point where I can release multiple videos in 1 week. And when that day comes, I'm not going to be able to clear end cities for 8 hours and put it in a single video. But that being said, we're all done. It took about 8.5 hours, but we got a decent amount of loot here. So it's about 14 elytra, 7 stacks of shulker shells, and 10 new maps. So we got this new map room here. It's oriented correctly. So that is that direction, that is that direction. And yeah, you can see we filled in the sides here. I wanted to get these 3 to, make it go out a whole nother layer, but just didn't have time. Got to get this video edited and released. But I'm pretty excited about this. There is some decent gear here, and we will have enough elytra for a long time. But all in all, I think that was a pretty successful episode. So one last thing I wanted to leave you with was my tips for clearing out the end cities. So like I said, it took about 8.5 hours, and if I say so myself, I think I got pretty good at it. I only died once. I only shot myself with my own bow about 40 times. So without further ado, here are my 8 tips, Heliax's 8 tips to committing genocide against shulkers. So unfortunately, I don't have any tips on how to find end cities because I just fly around in circles until I see one and then clear it. So my first tip is that when you do find one, go ahead and hit F3 and then take a screenshot of those coordinates. Because if you're new, you're probably going to die. Or if you're like me, you're really cocky and you're watching a movie while you do this, so you're probably going to die. Tip number 2 is clear the boat first. It's the most important. It's got the elytra, and so I always just want to make sure I get that and the dragon head before I move on, because it's kind of disconnected from the rest, so I've forgotten it in the past and just left elytra there, which was really disappointing. On that note, when you get the elytra, just put it in your ender chest right away. That way if you do die and you don't have other elytra, you have a way of getting back. And if you're wondering how you get the dragon head, that's really the only reason I carry blocks with me. I just sneak over it, place a block. Be sure to aim at this block so you aren't mining the one out from under you. There you go. So tip number 3 is if you have an elytra, start from the top of the end city and work your way down. It's easier to shoot down on the shulkers, you know, kind of like fish in a barrel, rather than shooting up at all of them at once. And lucky us, tip number 4 is actually related to these big rooms here. You don't want to go near them until you're ready to clear them, because once they start firing, they're going to hit each other, and if they kill each other, you don't get the looting benefit for that. And if you're starting to float up like this, that's why I have the ender pearls. So these rooms underneath the big rooms are, in my opinion, the second most deadly, just because it's kind of compact and there's usually 3, maybe 4 in here. So if you get in trouble, I like to back myself in the corner like this and just kind of place some blocks there to heal up. So then tip number whatever, I lost count, relates to the most dangerous room in the end city, the bottom. And the reason I say it's the most dangerous is, well, I've died here the most, but usually I get to this one at the end and I forget that I'm in the end by this point, and I end up looking at an Enderman. And so he chases me in here. He kind of usually like traps me in a corner, starts hitting me while the shulkers are attacking me. And I've died like 10 times in just this bottom room here. So my advice for that is carry a bucket of water with you. And if you aggro an Enderman, just drop it down on yourself and they won't teleport near you. So tip number 7 is once you clear out all the rooms, if you have an elytra, just fly around the outside of it and listen for that shulker sound, or see if you can find any shulker balls flying around. I don't know what those things are called. Yep, there's one. So if you can do a flyby. Oh, that was doubly bad. That was awesome. No shell, but that was awesome. And then when everything's clear, mark the city in some way so that if you're flying past, you know it's already been cleared. I use banners. You could use a giant stone pillar. It could be whatever you want. So there you go. That was Heliax's 8 tips. 9 tips. Put all your stuff in shulker boxes after you get it. That's all I've got for this week. Felt good to take a break from building and stock up on some gear, but next week we're getting back at it. Gonna start building out the new base, which I am crazy excited for because it means soon we'll have a real storage system. Oof, I cannot wait. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.